Hello class. So for this video, I wanted to go over a couple of accounts and some software that we're going to need for the course. There are three applications that we need to use. There's GitHub, which is at github.com. There is then a choice between Brackets as a code editor or Replit, which is also a code editor. The difference is that one is an application which you download, the other one is a web application which you do everything off of a browser. So I'm going to go in and demo all of your options. Let's start with Replit. So that's repl.it, and that will take you to this website over here. And the cool thing about this is that there is a free version of Replit where you can go in, create an account, and you can code directly from your browser. This is the best option if you do not have Windows or a Mac machine. If you do have those things, then hold off, because I would recommend that you get Brackets instead. It has a lot more features. Okay. But if you are off of a Chromebook, or if the most powerful device that you own is a tablet, then this is a really good option. Because all that means is that you go into your Chrome application, your Chrome browser, and you get to Replit, and you log in, and you have all of your projects already there, and you could continue working or just develop your projects from start to finish. So once you're here, the first thing that you want to do is you want to go to sign up. Fill out this information and hit sign up, and there may be one or two prompts after this, but essentially once you're in, you can start creating projects. So I'm going to come in. I believe I could sign in this way. Okay, so as soon as you have an account, you can come in, and this is a general walkthrough. You can see that I could create my projects. These are ones that I've recently edited, and here I have a whole bunch of repos that I've created. Right? Just to give you a quick walkthrough here, if you want to create a project, you can go in and you can go to all languages, and then you can look up HTML, CSS, and JS. Right? That's the code stack for our class. That's everything that you need right here. So you just click on that, and it's going to give you this. Now, it automatically generates a weird name for the project. So if you don't like that, and I don't recommend that you use that, you can change this to whatever you want. So I'm just going to change this to project test 1, right? And I'll put in underscores in between, so it's a little bit easier to read, right? Under here, you just make sure that it's set to public. If you want it to be private, that's the stuff that you have to pay for. For the purposes of the class, you want it to be public so that I could see it, so Shannon and I can see it. So just allow it to remain public. Okay, so you can see that it just renamed it. Here's my account, and then this is one of the projects that are inside of my account. I automatically get these three things. I get an HTML document, I get a script document, and I get a CSS file. Right? If I want to create a folder, I can do that. I could create a folder called assets, like that, and then I can move things in there like so. Right? Like, I personally don't like my CSS and my JavaScript in the root directory of my project. I prefer that it is in its own space, right? And if I need to create more than one document over here, I could go in and add a file. Oops, that created it. Inside assets, that's fine. I'll just create about.html over here, and then I could drag it outside of this folder like that. So I have index.html, about.html, and then I have an assets folder that contains my scripts and my styles. Okay. A couple other things I can do over here. So this has the boilerplate required tags in HTML. I'm just going to come in here and add some stuff. So let me get rid of some of this text that we don't need right now. All right. And we'll go over what these required tags are. I'm just going to create something really basic, like an H1 that says hello class. Okay, I want to be able to see those changes, so I'm going to click Run over here, and I have a browser window over here that shows my HTML code as it would appear. I could also pop this out, which is essential if I'm creating a full website. This little window is not going to do it, so I could just see what my whole project would look like on a regular browser window right over here. It takes a little bit to load up. So here it is. Here's my full site, and I can just go between these two tabs and I can start building stuff out. So para 1 for a paragraph, close that up, hit run again, and you come over here and refresh over here, and I can see it. What this allows you to do is you can create your whole project off of a web browser. It's really handy. Oh, and one thing that I want to show you is if you need to upload assets, like you need to use images, that's a fairly simple process. I have this over here. I think it should be an appropriate size. Yeah, this one's 300 by 300. Okay, so I'm just going to click and drag this directly. Missed. I'm going to click and drag this directly in here, right? So once you see the hover, then you could release it. This file is an image, so I definitely want that inside of my assets folder, right? And now I could use it inside of my project. So here's an image tag where I source the assets folder and call love.png. Close that up, run that. So when I refresh over here, there it is. There's my image displaying on the page. So you could drag and drop assets inside of here. If it's a text document or a folder, you could just generate it straight in here, right? When you're ready to submit your projects, I just clicked on my name on the top over there, or when you come in and you log in, you'll be able to get to my REPLs. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. But once you come in here, you will see a list of all your projects. You could click on it, and you can do a couple of things over here. You can send this off to me so that I can see the code for your project, and you can also send this to me, which is browser version of your project, so I can see what the final product is supposed to look like. Okay, so that's for Replit. Any questions? Hit me up. I have my email on the first slide deck, which is the intro to web design slides. Okay, so again, this is for if your most powerful system, if your most powerful device is either a Chromebook, a tablet, or a smartphone. If you don't have a Windows or a Mac machine, then this is the way to go, because you could just develop straight off of your browser, and all of those devices that I just listed, they all have a browser. If you do have a Windows or a Mac machine, then as cool as this is, I don't recommend it. I recommend actually having a full-on application. It allows for more customization. It doesn't matter to me if you're familiar with Visual Studio, if you're familiar with Dreamweaver, or what's the other one? Sublime. If you're used to using any of those, fine, totally cool. I recommend using Brackets. Right, it's free and it comes with a lot of really cool features, and you can find it at brackets.io. Okay, from here you could download the latest version, and then it's going to give you either an exe file if you're on Windows or a DMG file if you're on Mac. So I'm on a Mac, so it downloads as a DMG. You run through the install. It's a really quick install, and you will have brackets on your machine. If you're on a Windows machine, you just follow the prompts after you double-click on the install file. For Mac users, it's a click and drag. For Mac users, you just take this icon, drag it over to your applications folder, and you're done. Right? I already have it, so that's a really simple process. This is what brackets looks like. So inside of my machine, I can open it up over here. And just like Replit, it shows you your file directory on the side, and then it gives you a space where you could actually code. So I'm going to load up an old project that I have over here. And you can see that if I open up this folder contains all the files and folders that I need for this project, right? So there are my 2 HTML pages. Here's my assets page, and my assets folder, and I have a CSS folder, images folder, and these are all the things that I need for my site. Okay, and when I drag that into the sidebar over here, I have that exact same view, so I don't have to keep going back and forth between the folder and the file. And brackets, I could just come in here and edit whatever I need to right from this point. So here's my code. And I have number lines over here. I have the ability to edit any of this code as I need it to be. Right, so there I am adding that line in or removing it, turning it into a comment. I mean, and I also have a live preview. So that's this over here, this little lightning bolt. I click on that, and I'll open up a brand new tab where I can see my project, right? And I could come in here, make edits to it, or just generate them from scratch, right? So let's say I want a brand new page. I could right-click over here, create about.html. I have the ability to have autocompletes. So here's an example of one. There's doc type. So I just typed in the required HTML tags for that. Oops, put that in the wrong place. Put some stuff in here like title, about page. I don't need these 2 lines. So let me put in the H1 that says hello. And when I come back here, here's my live preview of this page. You'll know these little highlights over here are just letting me know what line I'm currently selecting. If I click down here, you can see that that's all gone. Okay, so this allows me to have an application directly on my machine. I don't need an internet connection in order to continue working on this. And it's just a lot more powerful and robust than Replit. One of the key features is the ability to create, not create, but to install plugins. So that's a little Lego over here, right? And from here, I could install a whole bunch of really cool features. I already have some, and you could go to available and you could do a search. So for instance, there's a plugin for Whitespace. So I'm just going to look up Whitespace over here. And then when you find one that you like, you could click on the install. I already have one. This is the one that I recommend. It's from Dennis Carrig. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And all you do is you click install, and then it'll show up on your install list. What the Whitespace plugin does is anytime you hit tab or space, it actually shows up as a character. Normally, these are Whitespace characters. They don't have any display. They just create empty space. So by having these tabs and little bullets, it allows me to see, like, if I have any extra tags floating around. It allows me to make my code super neat, right? Like, this is really good as far as nesting and having having the correct tabs within an HTML document, right? So I can see things are nice and nested. I can see how many tabs they're going in, so that allows me to see that this element is a child of this element over here. Right. A couple others, there's Beautify, so I do a search for that. Okay, so this is the one that I like. This is Drew Hamlet. So I hit install over there. If you find something better, feel free to hit install. But the point of Beautify is, in this case, it appears over here as a magic wand. White space, I don't need to do anything with that. It's just now a feature as I start coding. So, but with Beautify, it is actual button that gets generated on the side over here. And what that allows me to do is it allows me to clean up the code. So as you can see over here, I've removed some tabs and added some others. When you're coding, you are so focused on solving the problem that the formatting and the legibility of your code becomes a secondary concern. For employment purposes and just for courtesy when it comes to working on a team, it is an essential skill to have, to the point where people have not gotten the job because their coding was all over the place. They were just very sloppy when it came to this type of stuff. So to make it a little bit easier, right, in this example, all you would need to do is use your Beautify plugin, click on that, and it just automatically sets all of your tabbing the way you want it to be. It's not perfect, like there's still some work that I have to do, but it is a lot cleaner than it was previously, right? Like I want it to look like that, right? That's the better way of doing this, okay? And the last plugin that I recommend is called Snippets. Snippets is really cool because it allows you to create chunks of code, and you could create autocompletes for those chunks of code. So let me do a quick search over here. And this is the one that I like. Should show up on this list. Yeah. Brackets Snippets by EDC, Edward Chu. That's the one that I have installed, and this is how it works. It comes in as a light bulb over here. You click on it, and there is a snippets library, and you can use any of the snippets that are pre-installed in here. You just click plus, and it adds it to this library. So for instance, let me get rid of one of these. So for HTML, I'll get rid of my doc type one. And I'll also get rid of my dummy text. There we go. Okay, so I want to add those snippets, so I'm going to look for doc type boilerplate HTML, and I click add. And what that essentially means is whenever I start typing in doc type, it's going to ask me if I want to fill in this code. And if I hit enter, it'll automatically complete that. So that's a really cool feature. And let me look up dummy text under lorem. So I'm going to do that too, right? So now I have dummy text over here, and I have doc type. So I can now close this out. And now if I type in doc, I now have the ability to autocomplete all that text. And if I create a paragraph, let's say, and I want to put in some dummy text, I could just type in lorem, and you can see that I get the autocomplete for that. Hit enter there, and I get an autocomplete. Right now, there's some stuff that I could improve upon on this. Like, I don't like the fact that I have all this stuff that I'm rarely going to use, at least for our purposes in this class. So I could go in and I could edit these things. So here's the one for boilerplate. So I can say, okay, let's get rid of these lines over here. I'll keep the meta tag for viewport, because that's good practice. This one, my style sheet is probably not going to be in that location, so I could get rid of that. And I'm probably not going to need these scripts over here. So I'm just going to remove those, hit save. And as far as the dummy text is concerned, I don't like the fact that I'm getting these random line breaks over here. So I'm just going to convert this into just one line. There we go. Okay. So just to show you a before and after, right? So this is my before, where I have all these extra tags, and my lorem ipsum is just randomly cutting into new lines, right? So over here, I'm going to type in doctype again. You can see a lot simpler code. And if I create that paragraph again, and I type in lorem, now my dummy text is all together, right? It's all in one line. So that's what I prefer, so I could get rid of this stuff up here. I don't need it, right? And you also have the ability to create your own. So I could turn around here and I could say, hey, that's all great, but I have something that I commonly do. So let me just go in and create one over here. Like I usually, if I type in the letters div, then what I want to do is to generate the following HTML. And I just need to set the scope to HTML. You can see that there are many languages that I could potentially write in. So when I'm in an HTML document, if I type in this, I will generate this. Okay, so I get save over here, close this up, and now let's give it a try. So here I go, div, and I hit enter, and it generates a div for me. Right, so it just makes my life a lot faster by generating all this code on the fly. Okay, so for submitting projects, if you're using brackets, you need to be able to deploy your project online. So in order to do that, we are going to be using GitHub. So I'm going to go to the GitHub site. So this is github.com. This one takes a little bit longer to set up because you need to be able to verify your account after you fill out the sign-up form, right? If it starts asking you questions about like what level you are at or what you plan on using it for, just feel free to put in anything. It doesn't affect your account, okay? Just make sure that you're not purchasing anything because you're using the free version of GitHub. GitHub is an online repository, is a remote repository application, and what that basically means is it's a place where you could go in and you could store your project. Not only store your project, but you can also use another application that comes with GitHub called GitHub Pages, and that allows you to deploy your projects. So it's some really cool stuff, and it just takes a little bit in order to get the hang of how the application works. There is a lot more that goes into repositories. I'm going to show you the quick, easy way of using GitHub and deploying your projects online. So here we go. Well, from sign up, you will fill in all this information and then gain access to your account. After you do all that, it's going to send you a verification email. You need to make sure that you click on that. Okay, so I'm going to log into my account, and you can see I have many repositories over here. So if you want to deploy your project, let me show you the project that I'm looking to deploy. So we have this site. This is the index page, and this is the contact page, right? This is on my computer right now. So if you were to type this into your browser, you won't see this, right? Because these files aren't there. I can use GitHub's servers in order to deploy this site and make it available online to the public. And this is how you're going to be submitting your assignments. So step one is once you've gained access to GitHub, you are going to create a new account and you're going to give your repository a name. So in this case, I'm going to call it Demo Photo Port. And I'm just going to put a little DEL on the end just as a note to me to delete this later. And I'm going to go in and create a repository. And here we go. Now my repository is created. So out of this whole page, the only thing that I really need over here is where it says uploading an existing file. So I'm going to click on that. And now I have this drag and drop UI over here. So I'm going to go to my project. Here's my project, and it has all my files and folders. I do not need the folder. I need the contents of the folder. I need the files and folders that are within the project. I'm going to click that, drag it over, and release. Okay, and now it has all of my files. By the way, if you have any files that are empty, like you created a CSS file but you left it without any text inside it, this will create an error when you try to upload. So you need to make sure that all of your files have some type of content. Once you've done that, then put in a message over here and then hit commit changes. And this takes care of the first requirement, right? So in order to submit your project, you need to send me this link over here, right? And you can see this has your files. I could click on these files. I could read through your code. I could look to see if there were any errors. This gives me all the information that I need to see that you understood the project. The second thing is to deploy this, right? Because you want to see the actual website, not just the code. So in order to do that, we need to turn on GitHub Pages. So I'm going to go to Settings over here. I just hit Command so I can open it up in a new tab. Under Settings, scroll down to where it says Danger Zone. Right above it, it says GitHub Pages. Select the source and set it to Master, and then hit Save. And from here, it'll refresh the page. And now when I go back to GitHub Pages, I now see this. All right, this is the link to GitHub Pages where the site is deployed. It's ready to be published. It's not published yet. I can tell that because the background is blue. I'm going to wait a little bit and then refresh. And now the background is green. As soon as I see that, I can now click on this link and it will take me to the website. So this is great, right? In order to submit for your exercises and projects, you need to send me the GitHub Pages link that looks like this. It will be your account name, followed by github.io, followed by the repo name, and then I should see your project. And you also need to send me the link to your code, so that I could see the code and I could see if there were any typos, if there were any bugs that could be hammered out. Okay, so those are the applications that you need. Just to recap, if you are not using a Windows or a Mac machine, if you are on a phone, a tablet, or a Chromebook, then your only option for code editing would be Replit. If you do have a Windows or a Mac machine, then your best option would be to use any code editor that you're familiar with. If you're not familiar with any, or you've already used it and you like it, use Brackets. And if you are using Brackets, then in order to deploy, you need to go to GitHub and you need to deploy your projects on GitHub. Okay, so again, any questions, any issues, come to the session on Friday, or feel free to email me.